right, I had a few days ago done a tutorial on honeysuckle rose, and it was in the key of F. Now the tunes that I'm going to be doing here is She's Crying for Me by Santo Pecora and the guys from the New Orleans Rhythm Kings, original New Orleans Rhythm Kings, because my old buddy played on trombone with them later, Georgie Brunis. But anyway, also Jelly Roll Morton's Georgia Swing has a similar, almost the same kind of harmonies to it. Just little changes in here and there with her. Pardon me. And a lot of the same melodic type ideas. Let's go into it a little bit here. They both have a thing, like for example, they were both, I think, also done in A flat when they were done with the band. I'm going to do it in F because F puts it in D minor and A flat puts it in F minor, which is a little more complicated for you guys starting out. So the D minor F will be easier. So anyway, I put both She's Crying for Me and Georgia Swing into key of F, and the relative minor is D minor. Also you'll want to know what the relative and the parallel minors are. The relative minor is the minor that has the same scale as the major, but it starts on, in other words, let's put it in F, and the relative minor is D minor. It's the sixth tone. The sixth tone of F makes the relative minor. The reason you say relative is because it relates because it has the same scale. The other is called the parallel minor, which would be like F major to F minor. And they don't have the same scale at all. F minor has the scale of A flat instead of the scale of F. But it's called a parallel minor because you're in F and you can go right to parallel, you can go right to F minor. Whereas when you're in F and you go to the relative minor, it's relative because it has the same scale. Now I'll show you what I mean. The scale of F is F, G, A, B flat, because the scale of F, in the key of F you have one flat, and that's a B flat. So you play that in the scale coming up, one flat. So you got F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. The only thing that's not natural in that scale is the B flat. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Now, if I play the key of D, that's a D major. If I make it a D minor and I play the same scale, I mean the same notes in the scale of D minor, I have the same scale as F major. In other words, here's D. Before you start, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Here you go, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. Now there's various different minors, but that's a simple minor. And it's the parallel minor, it would be. A lot of times you go to the E flat, go back down, whatever. But anyway, it has the same notes in the D minor as F does, so it's called the relative minor. And in these songs, She's Crying for Me and Georgia Swing, they use the relative minor, and the relative minor starts the songs off because they have this, what we call a minor strain. A strain is like a chorus part of a song. So they have this minor strain that starts, and if we got it in D minor now, we're going to do all this in D minor and F. You got like some kind of a D minor, and then you got a B flat 7. A7 then, And then you go back, and then that repeats. Now it goes to a G7, C7, and then C augmented, and the melody goes in the, and then it does the same thing here. That's Georgia Swing. That's the melody of Georgia Swing, but there's 2 or 3 other melodies in it, but they're all based on that chord structure. Now that chord structure of the chorus in the key of F, where we just played that, that's a pickup note. That's pickup just before the song. It's a C augmented with a G sharp, da, and then it's da, 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 da. That's F, G, F, D, F, C augmented. Now this is F sharp diminished with an A melody, and then C with a G, and then the augmented, and then That's your F6 chord, or D minor 7 chord in other relations, but here it's F6. So that's what the first chorus is like after that minor strain to start with. Now it goes on, and later on, then after that, when they go into the song, they play on that, but they don't play on the. They just play off for F through that. They just go like. So they just play on F and C7, and then they're playing on it, ad-libbing on it. Then for the out chorus, they go back to they go back to putting that in it, that C augmented in it, but the melody they use is like. Then that's up to the C7. So they're just taking a phrase of a melody that recurs. We call that a riff, because those string bands all riffed all the time, and they're using that as part of the solo. Now that's on the out string. The band goes, and then for the last 8 bars they go like. And then off beats. So it's the offbeat. It's 4 of the offbeats. That's an offbeat. 1 and, so it's the ands of each beat. 1 and, 2 and, 3 and, 4 and, 1 and then ba-ba for and of 2 to 3 on the very end. So that's what Georgia Swing does, and it just swings its tail off when Jelly Roll and the band play it. Now Jelly Roll gets credit for writing it in 1928. In 1925, the original New Orleans Rhythm Kings, the trombone player was Santo Pecora with them, and Santo gets most of the credit for that. There's various different things or whatever, but anyway, he gets basically the credit for it, and it's called She's Crying for Me, or She's Crying for Me. Now, in the first strain, the minor strain they've got, and it goes from the D minor, and back to, so it's just running the D minor chord. Under your fingers, it's the D, A, F, D, A. That's what it's dealing with. It does that. The same thing that Georgia Swing did. Now, where Georgia Swing went and had a simpler line, this has got, and then that. Then it does it again. Now, rather than in Georgia Swing where they did that, that stuff, this one just goes to the F chord and goes, oh, I want to go to F minor, stay in D minor. So it just runs that, is what it does. So its melody is, it does that twice, then it does that, and then does that twice. Then it does that diminished thing, but it does it with a diminished to the D minor. C7, and so it definitely does the same kind of a thing, only it has a different kind of a melody over it. Now, when the two bands play it, you don't even recognize that it is the same thing because both melodies are so striking that they belong where they are. Now, when She's Crying for Me goes into the chorus, which on the other one was that was the chorus of Georgia Swing. The chorus of She's Crying for Me goes to a whole different kind of thing. It goes to like F and stays on the F for a bar. Then it's so where they go. The other one goes. It uses that, but it holds the. And then ba-da-da-da. That's She's Crying for Me. So She's Crying for Me is like. And then it just repeats that. In the She's Crying for Me. Whereas over here, the first string goes, that's a pickup, and it goes. So they're very similar, but when you hear the two bands play them, you don't, I never did, and most people don't even think of it being the same tune. But it is kind of the same tune. So somewhere along the line, some people got on Morton a little bit, and so he put some of his stuff, he put Pecora's name on it for that. So what you've got is two different things here. So I'll play a little bit, and you can put them either way you want to do it. So it's like. Loosen it up more. That's Georgia Swing, you see. It's the playing of this, what you're doing. at that point. So that's what I was trying to show, that songs are always a lot alike. You find all different parts of them, but the way is to try to make that song bring out the brilliance of that song and the swing. Especially back in jazz, the swing was the important part. So that's the difference between George's Swing and She's Crying for Me. And most all players that play both of those songs, they may play them in the same set every night, they won't even realize they're the same song. Basically the same song, because of the harmonies, and that's what we're going over. We're going over tutorials on these harmonies of these things, and this also gives you a lot of room to ad lib with what different stuff is going on. Now where you're going over here where the song goes, you can be it up here, or up here. You know, you can be doing that, you can do that kind of stuff wherever you want at that point, you know. If you're in a modern band, you can add the 6/9 chord and those things and whatever. But it all depends. See, that the last thing I said there is important. What genre of music, of the jazz music it is. I prefer the original because there's more space without sounding pretty much the same. When you get into modern, you get chromatics wherever they're going. In other words, if I were playing chromatics on that tune, I would probably be going like something maybe like this. You know, I would be doing other things and more modern tone-colored notes in it, but I would be getting the same idea. In other words, if you hit this thing, you could use that in modern music just as easy as you did it down here, and you know what I'm saying. So it's the genre. Stick to the genre. Know the melody well. Know the harmonies inside out, and know the simple harmonies on it. Even in the modern music, know the simple harmonies, because what you're going to be doing is advancing those harmonies, and in the older stuff you'll be advancing it in lines, whereas in the more modern stuff you'll be advancing it in more modern harmonies at that point. You know, like stuff, you know, whereas you would never use that in original jazz. But my preference is the original jazz because it gives you more melodic and more ways to go. The other more modern music, it's not as melodic as the old music. Anyway, these are all my opinions now, of course. All right, that was a tutorial on George's Swing and She's Crying for Me by Jelly Roll Morton and Santo Pecora.